Hey, we're back on the anime grind. We're back on the anime shit. We're talking about seasonal anime again. So, proper announcement, obviously. This is going to be the first episode. This is going to be on the Infinity podcast. It's going to be very, very, very edited. But very edited. Very edited. I don't know exactly or necessarily how much. I don't necessarily know how we're still doing this format. I did this just because I was editing and I didn't have enough time. And honestly, this is just one of the easier ways to get some form of content out. So I thought, hey, this might actually be pretty nice. And it's not just one of those things where it's like it's gonna be the easiest option for now until I can find some time to organize my schedule and stream because I started a new job or what that. But you're not here to listen to my life. You're here for anime cavalcade stuff. That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for. I know exactly that's what you're here for. So here's how we're gonna do it. Usually, I will go super breakdown the others, doing it by like episode by episode, by like point by point by point, being super super minute. For this one, I want to try reeling that back in a little bit, and maybe just talking about some of the highlights, some of the highlights of the episode, rather than like completely going into the show, and like everything that happens, because I think that's going to be a bit more of an efficient way to do it. So the way I want to do this is kind of reel it back a bit, not talk much about going like super super into detail about shit. But rather, what I want to do is just kind of point out some of the highlights, some of the things I liked about the episode, some things I don't like. Mainly because that also gets me the ability to, not talk about these fucking episodes so goddamn long. Because those podcasts before were like 3 hours, and I want to avoid having a 3-hour podcast. So that's exactly what we're going to do. It also helps me edit a little bit, since there's going to be an edited version of this where people can consume. So let me go ahead, because I also forgot to bring up my document of stuff that I wanted to talk about. Alright, this is going to be weird, because I didn't completely fix my setup for shit, so we're just going to dive right into it with whatever the first one comes up, which is Oshinoko Season 2. Now, you all know Oshinoko Season 1 was fire. That shit was good. Oshinoko Season 1 was so good, and let me tell you, specifically for Episode 1 and Episode 2, same shit. It's the same shit. It is all the good that we loved back in Oshinoko Season 2. No, back in Season 1 that we all loved. Season 2 is just doing the same thing, because the first episode, it's generally centered around exactly like what they're doing, like the structure of what everything's going on at that point, right? So we have Kana, Arima, and Aqua, and they're doing which I thought it was going to be like a movie, but I guess it's going to be a play instead. Which I'm not against that. I'm not against it at all. I'm not against anything being a play of sorts of whatnot. It's honestly something it makes sense, because like they already did I think they already explored like movies. They already explored the idol industry, which we'll still have with Ruby, and then they already explored television and like reality television and all that stuff and how that works. So like if they're trying to try to get every facet of every facet of like entertainment of the entertainment industry, eventually they would have to go to some other things, right? So plays make sense. But we have Arima, Kana, and Aqua, and they're doing their things. We're learning about the ins and outs of the play, how this play structure is working. We're getting like everybody's feel. We're basically getting like the overall attention, and like it's nice to see, to just kind of get back in form. We're also given a recap of basically everything that's happened within the last couple of months with like Ruby and her group, along with like Kana, and I forget the other girl's name. I totally forget the other girl's name. But Arima and no, not Arima. Jesus fucking Christ. Um, Ruby. Ruby and her group, they've been doing small shows around. I want to say it's like Tokyo, maybe just around Japan in general, but in Tokyo. Basically going around and doing what they can, trying to get their name out there. Aqua has been kind of focused on still trying to find Ice Killer. Arima and Kana are kind of preparing for this thing, so we all get like an update on like where everyone where on what we get an update on where everyone is basically, and more sense just like how everything's going. Where Kana is kind of shining while they're doing this play, as like she's practicing with one of the best actors who's like an award winner, who's part of the I think it's called Lala Lia. That's Arima's agency because Kana and Aqua are part of Strawberry Productions. I think it's called. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot that actor's name, but he comes off as like a pretty like he's like a very well renowned not actor but whatever you call people who do plays. I don't know that name, but whatever you call people who do plays, he's pretty much in that aspect of it, and he doesn't come off as like someone who is like that. He's very like, oh, I'm gonna wear like sweats and like a just sweater and like whatever fuck and like. But when he go into his acting, his shit is like really fucking good. We do have some returning characters. There is I don't necessarily know he was part of it, but I wasn't expecting him to come back. Where I guess there was someone who wasn't a very good actor back when they were doing like the reality TV show stuff. But he's back and he's kind of there to redeem himself of like, yeah, I was not a good actor in a reality TV show, and I wish somebody told me that. I didn't realize that, but I'm here. Actually, I think that's part of episode 2. I'm kind of going all over the place. But yeah, episode 1, not much happens. Other than like basically just giving us the vibe of the cast, basically telling us what everything else has happened in the past like couple of days, not a couple of days, but like a couple of months and all stuff like that. We're basically giving a recap of like all that stuff. And by the end of it, we get introduced to the manga artist because the play is an adaptation of a manga called Tokyo Blade. I also should have said that. The play that they're doing is a Tokyo Blade. It's also a 2.5 D play. I don't know what that is. I don't know what a 2.5D is. They do. We'll get to that at some point, but I know later in the season they will explain it, which, thank fucking God. Peter Kirk. Damn, is there anything else in season 1? Before I talk about the manga artist, I kind of want to think about is anything else in season 1, because I really, honest to God, can't think of anything else that happened in episode 1 that I feel like is like truly addressed. Oh, there is the Ruby thing, and it's Ruby. So Ruby is at I's grave, and she's recapping everything that happened the last couple of months. Now, I expect them to use Ruby at some point. My concern is that like she's gonna be thrown to the wayside while all this is happening because she's not really involved in this. So I don't know what direction that's gonna go, or if we'll learn stuff about it later, because I think Oshi no Ko Season 2 is slated for, I want to say 13. Is it 13 seasons? No, 13 seasons. Christ, not 13 seasons. No. I think Oshi no Ko Season 2 is slated for 13 episodes. So it's one of those things where it's just like either we're going to super blast through this play part and then go to the idol stuff. Because I think Ruby's path should still be focused on. Because we only really have like 2 episodes of the play. And I assume the third one is also going to be about the play. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, I always give anime the 3-episode rule. Because I think that's appropriate. You should always give... Honestly, I would say that for most shows, you should at least give it a 3-episode watch. Just to see how you would feel and what the feeling is right. Because I think 3 episodes is at least giving it a good chance to set itself up and set things where it needs to be, at least to try to let you in. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think if anything else. If there's anything else I need to think about. Oh, I guess that's more. It's more of a. It is more of a of episode one and episode two issue, but I will talk about it here. So in the last episode of season, what is it? In the last episode of season one, the reason why Kana and Arima being kind of in the same position right now, or being in this play right now, is so important and integral to the story, is because they set it up as the possible main conflict for this is that Arima, who is pretending to be, not Jesus Christ, what's Aqua, who's pretending to be Aqua's girlfriend, or like I think Arima actually likes him, but they're just doing it to ask for appearances and stuff like that. And then Miss Kana, who is trying to win over Aqua, or at least feels like it in a way, where they're kind of both battling right now to see who is going to impress him more. I forget if it was to impress Aqua or to kind of win over on who's going to be the best in the play. Oh, I'll talk about it. There's a lot of things I want to. There's a lot of things I do want to touch. I want to touch on, but it's all this and stuff for episode one that I can't really touch upon because it kind of leads into episode two, and it's kind of things I need to talk about for episode two combined. So I will just go ahead and just talk to the end because I do think episode one is more of a recap and structure of how the season is going to go. So that's fine. But towards the end, like I said earlier, we meet the author of the manga that they're adaptating, Tokyo Blade. I think her name is Abiko. I do not crucify me for messing up the name. I am assuming that that's how you pronounce it. And I know they said it in the show, I just don't remember how they pronounced it. So Abiko is the name. And she wanted to go to see how the script is and how like the actors are doing and whatnot. And so she sits down along with someone else who was a manga author who I think season one they bring back this person who I think was the manga author of Sweet Love, the show that like the other dude just like completely butchered, but also the same show that I think Aqua and I met on, although I think that might have been the reality TV show. I don't remember, but I know she was part of the previous season, and she is basically the sensei of Abiko. Abiko asked her to come. That's another episode two. That's another episode two thing that we'll touch on and shit like that. But Abiko comes, looks at the play, and she is impressed by the acting. She thinks that everybody is a good actor. She thinks that everyone in the play is acting. And she likes everyone and how they're acting so far. The only thing that she asks is that she wants revisions. And it's gonna happen. It's fine. You just kind of work around it. And Abiko asked, hey, what type of revisions are you looking for? And Abiko, or one of the screenwriters, not Abiko, but one of the screenwriters acting is like, okay, what part you want to change? And she turns with the most menacing look that she could give, and she's like, everything. And that's where episode one ends. And then it basically sets up like, oh, I see. This is going to be like the potential main conflict for the show, where it's like, oh, it's going to be the battle between adaptations and stuff like that. And so I I was like, okay, I see that. I still think that as we go further and further on, Kana and Arima are going to still be a conflict that exists, but I think the main industry explanation story or industry conflict that we're gonna have is the manga author dealing with the adaptation of their project, which I got a whole lot to say on that because we all know about adaptations. But episode two basically explains how. First of all, Abiko is raging at the beginning of the episode. And so, Abiko is raging at the beginning of the episode. and Jesus Christ, Jesus Lord, what can I think right now? Oh, so basically, Abiko is like sort of raging and like kind of explaining, and they kind of do like a time skip of like, hey, let's look back on how we got to this location. And like they show how like the cast and crew met and how they're going to be doing it, and they actually touch on Abiko reaching out to his sensei who knows like Arima and Kana and Aqua and all them, and actually reaches out being like, hey, I want to go and look at how these actors and what the screenwriters are doing. I want to kind of like be in for a rehearsal. Can you come with me because I'm a bit shy? And like Abiko is like set up as like this extremely like quirky character, right? But the whole episode basically explains that like all that happened, and she basically got put off constantly, and it explains where it's like, okay, from the manga author to the screenwriter, there's so many different channels of people. You're basically playing telephone, and shit's bound to get messed up. Where like, if you do not express what you want clearly, shit is going to get fucked up. And that's how they explain it with Abiko, where she's like, oh, like, she's like super passionate, trying to be like, no, you made my character fucking stupid. They need to be more emotional. They need to have more wisdom. This is insane. I'm not going to stand for this. And the person seeing it is like, okay, well, this is kind of aggressive. I need to like tone it down a bit. And then the person that's reading the emails being like, well, that's kind of mean. Words are going to make it a bit more palatable. And then the other person gets it and it's just like, I don't really understand what she's saying, so we're going to try to interpret it the best way. And then the person who's talking to the screenwriter is like, what the fuck? That make no sense. It's obviously they don't know what like playwriting is. And then the other person gets it and it's just like, okay. And so it's just completely jumbled and completely messed up, where like we like see this whole process happen, then the script gets right back to Abiko and it's just like, it's worse, I don't know how you did it, but you made it terrible, you made it awful, you made it so much worse. And so she's sitting there and she's just like, the thing they tell her is, oh, don't worry, the play is going to be good, you're going to change your mind once you see the play. And so she's sitting there like, you know what? If that's true, then fine, fuck it. I'm already stressed. I'm already annoyed. But if this is what you're saying, then I'm going to see the play and I'm going to understand what you're doing and I'm going to appreciate what you're doing. Then I will let this. I will let you do your thing for now because I'm stressed and shit. And obviously, Abiko goes, that's not the case. That is not the case at all. Abiko is pissed. Abiko is pissed and mad and pissed and angry and like. She's throwing a fit. She's being angry. And here's my thing. On one hand, I can completely understand where Abiko is coming from. As somebody who has seen bad adaptations after bad adaptations after bad adaptations, I can understand as someone who's like making a manga and getting an adaptation of something and it not really panning out. You're like, well, that's not what I wanted. You kind of didn't understand what my project was. You kind of butchered it, boy. Like, I can understand that frustration. But this is also why I think Oshinoko is such a good anime. It's such a good anime. Because I have never thought about the screenwriter's perspective, right? Of like the system that happens where it's like, yeah, you know what? There are going to be a lot of channels. There's not many manga people that are going to work directly with them. There's not a lot of systems that are going to have the manga author and the screenwriter like together in the same pill. And so you get this messed up and the screenwriter, they might be trying their best. They might be thinking like this is like the best way that we could do it. They could come in at totally good faith, right? And then screenwriter Guile, don't know the name again. I'm not very good with names. But Guile comes up and he's like, oh, I have read this book. I am in love with what the author does. I completely understand what they're doing. Like, it is so obvious exactly what they are doing with this project. And so what I want to try to do with this project is go out and basically try my best in making an adaptation. Hold on, I need to check something real quick. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Bitch, my stream health is a good connection. Okay, whatever. All right. I'm about to say I was just like, bitch, it's that my stream health was in good connection. Okay, that's whatever. That's gonna be an interesting stream to look back on. Um, where the fuck was I? Hold on, give me a second. Okay. Right. Basically, to make your long story short, a screenwriter, if something happens negatively, it falls on them. But if it's positive, it basically falls on the manga author. Be like, oh my god, you guys did such a good job, blah 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 blah. And honestly, that's so not wrong. It's so not wrong. It's just something I've never thought about in my entire life. And I sat there and I'm just like, damn. And they really make you feel bad for this screenwriter. They make you feel super, super bad. Because I sat there and I'm just like, damn. I felt bad because he really thought he was doing his best. He really thought he was trying his all. He was just like, I am trying to make the best faith adaptation of this, and he just basically got told that you're a fucking hack by the manga author, and it's just like, it's like that's like the word, especially when you're passionate about a project, and like you're just like, bro, I'm going to put the best faith into this, and then you just get called a hack. You just sit there, you're like, man, I really did. I just really messed up, didn't I? So I completely, I get that pain. And no, it doesn't end there. Basically, because of everything that's happened, he gets kicked off. Abiko, I think, is going to take over the screenwriting, and rehearsals basically finished until they could completely write the fucking script all over again. And so, the three things I wanted to mention, because I couldn't talk about some of these without talking about the without talking about the end of the show. But one, we're gonna learn what 2.5 plays are because Arima and Aqua are gonna go on a date to a play, which is nice because I have no goddamn clue what a 2.5 play is. I know what plays are, I know what like operas are, and I know they're not the same things, but like I get like what a stage performance is. I have never heard of a 2.5 play until now. That sounds insane. And a 2.5D play. I have no clue what that is, but we will find out. I guess with this, we will find out with this. And the second thing I want to talk about is I wonder how much attention they're going to put into the Arima and Kana beef, because I was trying to explain this before, but I couldn't really explain it without talking about episode 2. But in the end of season 1, Arima and Kana basically have this beef, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the better actor. No, I'm going to be the better actor. And it's kind of also partly trying to attract Aqua as well. Kind of, I think I remember that being an aspect. But these 2 episodes don't really focus on that, and we don't really get that attention. Now, you could argue, obviously, they're trying to be as professional as they can, because if they have beef like that, it's just going to ruin the show and ruin the vibe, which is fair. Kana and Arima are both professionals, but I would have at least liked a private exchange or some way of words or a bit more attention that, like, hey, we're still doing it. We did get that with, like, a single stare when they were doing the bit of the rewind to when, like, the whole cast met each other, and Arima and Kana, like, looked at each other, and there's a scene where, like, you get the dual screen eye looking scene, but, like, that's all we really got, other than, like, Arima making comments about Kana, but to Aqua, and Kana kind of talking to herself about trying to be the best and not wanting to be shown up by Arima, but, like, we never really get, like, an interaction. And I will say that, like, the trailers also heavily implied that as well, but I think we're going to get that more with along with, like, the industry plot related issue where Abiko. So something happens in episode 1, and why I think they're trying to do is that episode 1, Arima doesn't really understand the character, right? Or at least the direction in which the character wants, or what the screenwriter wants, because in the manga, the character that she's playing is like is like far more shy, far more wisdom, far more elegant. Like she has a bit more of a mystique to her. Where in the play she's far more brutish and far more like straightforward. And they explain to it where it's like, well, we don't really have time for a play. Like in a manga, you can kind of expand on that stuff. But for a play, we kind of have to make a runtime of like 2 hours, like at best. Because if we do any longer, that's 3, and that could you run the risk of like tiring people out because it's a play. You're sitting there for like 3 hours. And the longer you go, the better the content's gonna be. So it's like 2 hours is that good spot, which like I kind of sort of get, but I was just kind of sitting there being like, I really can't shine in the role that they're trying to give me. So what I think is going to happen is that with Abiko taking over, Abiko is going to give Arima's character back her original personality with the wisdom and with like the more shyness and the more like indirectness and the more mystique around her, and that's going to give Arima the better way to act and actually elevate her acting skills, and everyone's going to show that. I think Arima and Kana will be the standouts for the character, but then that's where we're going to have the butting of heads, where it's going to be like, oh, both Arima and Kana are shining along with their partners, so then it's going to become like a 2v2 type of duel type of stuff, which I am very much looking forward to. But yeah, basically those are the 2 episodes for Oshinoko. Honestly, Oshinoko is starting off really, really strong. Really, 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 really strong. It is really, really good. I'm gonna try to give these all rankings as much as I can, but I think I would give the first episode of Oshinoko an 8 out of 10, and the second episode of Oshinoko 9 out of 10. Because both of those were just really, really good episodes, and I'm really happy that we got to see all of that because it's fun and it's nice, and Oshinoko is like good. Long story short, Oshinoko season 2 is just still giving more good, and I hope it still gives more good.